dugsiyada Noradin Schools.
Hello everybody and welcome to this lesson. Let me briefly introduce by myself. My name is Cabdilahi. Some people call me Abdullah, but there is no problem. You can just call me Cabdilahi or Abdullah. Okay, as we all know that there is a worldwide pandemic disease which affected our learning process, we have shifted from face-to-face learning into online learning process in order to avoid unexpected outcomes or gaps. Okay, first of all, today we are going to study this lesson, paragraph development. Before we start our lesson, what can you see in here or what can you see in this photo? Maybe you are asking, is it a restaurant or what is this photo? Why we have taken this photo? Maybe you are asking these questions. There's no problem. We are going to eat if we feel hungry. So don't worry, no problem. It's waiting for us. The first lesson which we are going to study is paragraph development. Before we start our lesson, let's understand what paragraph is. As you see here, there is a sandwich. It has got two sides, and in the middle there is some material, maybe vegetables, fruits, and a slice of meat. So paragraph is like this. It has got an introduction part, which is the first part, and it has got a body, which is in this, like this photo, and the last one is conclusion. These are our objectives. I want you to do or to process these 4 objectives at the end of this lesson. For example, what I want you. Here, lesson 1, paragraph development. Objectives. These are the aims or the objectives which you want to know at the end of this lesson. If you will not be able to describe these 4 aims, that means you didn't understand that lesson. It is up to you. You have to read again unless you master these 4 points. The first one is, at the end of this lesson, you will be able to define paragraph. What paragraph is. For example, if I saw someone like, you see, that's the teacher. If you are pointing me, you say that this is the teacher. You know me what I am. So you will be able to define paragraph. And then second objective which I want you to process is the differentiation of the 3 basic components of a paragraph. The third aim or objective is to write ways to develop a paragraph. And finally, write a paragraph of your own. That means you will be able to write a paragraph about yourself, about your country, about your favorite hobbies. Introduction. As we have already started, introduction. What paragraph is? Let's define a paragraph. Simply, we can say paragraph is a group of sentences that talks about or that discusses about a single topic. In here, we have like this. A paragraph is a piece of writing that consists of a series of sentences. That means it is a group of sentences. Perhaps you are asking, how many sentences do I need in order to write a complete paragraph? Academically, it said that each paragraph consisted of 5 to 10 sentences. 5 to 10 sentences. All right, fine. Five to 10 sentences. Maybe you're asking yourself, Can I write more than 10? It's up to you. It depends on the topic that you are writing about. If the topic is too long, you don't need to write only 5 to 10. You can write more than 10, but this is the least. You can start from 5 to 10 sentences. Right. Structure of the paragraph. How can we divide? How many parts do we need to write a paragraph? A paragraph consists of 3 basic parts. 3 basic parts. The first one is topic sentence. The second part of a paragraph is supporting sentences. Do you see any changes? Here we have got a topic sentence, and here we have got supporting sentences. These are a group of sentences, keep in mind. And the last one is concluding sentences. If you want to write a paragraph, you need to keep in mind these 3: the topic sentence, the supporting sentences, and the concluding sentence. Now, you know what paragraph is. You know how many parts each paragraph comprises of, and what each part is. For example, the first one is topic sentence, and the second one is supporting sentences, and concluding sentence. Let's go on. What is topic sentence? Here, topic sentence is often the first sentence of a paragraph. When you are starting a paragraph, the first sentence, the most general sentence of a paragraph is the topic sentence. It gives a general information about the topic, general background information about the topic. That is topic sentence. Our second part of a paragraph was supporting sentences. As the name indicates, supporting sentences. They support and develop the topic sentence by giving extra information about the topic sentence. That means they have to apply, they have to follow the topic sentence. If they are against the topic sentence, that means if they contradict each other, if they don't talk about the same information, that means they don't belong to each other. These are only group of sentences. But if they develop by giving extra information about the topic sentence, that means they are the supporting sentences of your topic sentence. Supporting sentences in here. If you ask yourself, what supporting sentences are? Supporting sentence, they support and develop the topic sentence by giving it more information. Topic sentence. Here. Supporting sentences. They support. That means the supporting sentences support and develop the topic sentence by giving it, that means by giving the topic sentence more information. And finally, concluding sentence. We are going at the end of this lesson. Paragraph, structure of a paragraph. Concluding sentence sums up or summarizes the main idea of the paragraph. There are 2 ways to conclude your paragraph: either to summarize the main points which you have discussed in the supporting sentences as well as the topic sentence, or you just need to restate, to tell again the topic sentence. Sorry. Here we have got a sample. In order to write your own paragraph, you need to see this sample paragraph. A sample of a paragraph. I think you can see it's clear. I have used different colors, for example, blue and yellow, green and yellow. In here, why I did like this? Can you differentiate these parts of the sentences which I joined together in order to make a complete paragraph? Here we have walking to physical fitness. Maybe you are asking yourself, what type of physical? There are so many physical activities that you can do in order to stay healthy. Here, do you know what this is? Here. Walking to physical fitness. Paragraph starts from here, but in here we have also another thing. Here, walking to physical fitness. This is, let me explain a little. Here, this is the title. This is the title. That means all this information are about this. This is the title of your paragraph. That means you need a title. You need to choose a topic in order to write about something. Before you write anything, you can choose a topic which you can write effectively. Here, this green highlighted sentence is the topic sentence of this paragraph. They said, walking to physical fitness. Here, walking is an effective way to exercise. This is not enough to understand. So these sentences support, they develop, they add extra information about how walking is an effective way to exercise. They said, let's read here. Start from here. All these sentences here. These are the supporting sentences. Walking 3 to 4 minutes every morning is a great way. Walking 3 to 4 minutes every morning is a great way to relax. Walking. Walking 3 to 4 minutes every morning is a great way to relax. How it will be a great way? When walking with a friend, that means when you are working with your friends, maybe your classmates, maybe your neighbors, maybe some other friends, you stay together, or maybe you play together, or maybe they are your roommates, you stay together. When walking with a friend, one can talk about the day ahead or share some challenges that they are facing, some problems that is coming, that they are waiting to see. That means what will happen the days coming. Walking alone allows time to mediate and relieve stress. That means it relieves stress or hardship. Thinking about life is easier without distractions of the world. Also, another information, walking regularly improves my general health. Fitness experts recommend an exercise routine to keep the heart strong. Start from here and up to here, these are the supporting sentences. They support. That means they are giving extra information about this, how walking exercise is an effective way. The last one. Here, we have the effects that walking has on health makes it a great way to exercise. This is the last sentence of a paragraph. It summarizes the whole point that we have discussed in the supporting sentences. On the other hand, this sentence restates, that means it says again about the topic sentence. That is the concluding sentence. Let's recap. We have seen what paragraph is. We said that paragraph is a group of sentences that give information about a single topic, one topic, simply. The structure of a paragraph. Parts of a paragraph, there are 3 basic parts. The first one is the topic sentence. We said that the topic sentence must be the first part of a paragraph. the first sentence of a paragraph must be indented. That means you need to move apart maybe few spaces. And the second part is supporting sentences. Supporting sentences, they support and develop the topic sentence by giving extra information about that. And the last one is concluding sentence. Concluding sentence is the last sentence of a paragraph, and it's at the end of a paragraph. It sums up, it summarizes the whole point of your paragraph. Now up to now we have seen that one. The definition of a paragraph, the structure of a paragraph, we know that one. Now, let's continue. Development of a paragraph. Why do we need to develop a paragraph? If you ask yourself, development. That means, why do we need to develop a paragraph? In order to write, maybe in the exams, if you see the kids or the students when they are writing about tasks, they only write something. They maybe they have the title and they want to write about more, but they cannot develop. In order to write more, you need to develop your paragraph. There are only 3 ways or 3 methods that you can develop your paragraph. Development of a paragraph here. Keep in mind, please, here. Development of paragraph. Our lesson was starting from here, but before we start here, it's better to know that information. Here, there are 3 common ways. There are 3 common methods that you can develop a paragraph. They are as follows. The first one is giving details. That means you are going to write more details. For example, I said, this is the best school in Hargeisa. How it is the best? For example, we have got specialized building or campus. We have got specialized teachers, well-trained teachers. We have got well-developed or well-equipped laboratories. These are the details which you are going to develop your paragraph. Explanation. Explanation. When you are writing something, you have to keep in mind 2 things, the audience and the purpose. The audience, the people who will read your writing, and the reason that you are writing. Explanation. That means explanation tells the reader, tells the person who will receive your writing what you mean, how something works, and in order to understand very well. And the last one, by giving examples. Example. For example, when I'm writing something, for instance, I say, for example, I just want to tell you something, and I'm going to compare 2 things. For example, if we are studying, for example, primary, you say, for example, 1 here, 1 plus 1 equal 2. You said like this, and then I said 1 plus 2. This is an example, and then you will follow the rest of the sentences. Here, this is not mathematics, but this is an example only. By giving examples, what's an example first? Example, it can be anything, any incident that is related, any example, any person, any place that are related to your writing. For example, I'm writing something about education. I said, maybe you have seen so many times, knowledge is power. Knowledge is power. How knowledge is power? Or, educated person is better than uneducated. Then we say that, for example, we took an example and then we say last year, me and my friend traveled to somewhere, maybe traveled to Addis Ababa. Your friend doesn't know anything about education. He was illiterate simply. And then as soon as they landed in the airport, there is 2 gates, entrance, arrival and departure. As soon as they got into the airport, if he or she cannot read or write anything, they cannot follow the instructions or directions, so they can go in a wrong direction. It's because of their knowledge. So example is anything that is related to your topic which you are writing about, so you can use it. In a nutshell, finally, we just want to do this task. Here is your home task. I want you to write about your writing at home, and also keep in mind this hints. Here, write about a paragraph about your favorite hobby. Walking, we have seen walking. But in here, I want you to write your hobby. Maybe you love sports, maybe you love hang out with your friends, or maybe you like football. Any hobby, you love it. Maybe you love reading. So it's up to you which hobby you prefer. Just write about a paragraph. If you ask yourself, what do I need in order to write a paragraph? Keep in mind that paragraph here, hints, note. Organize your paragraph into 3 basic parts. The first one starts with, after you have chosen the title, start with the topic sentence and then supporting sentences, and the last one is concluding sentence. Attention. After you have finished your work, share your paragraph with your classmate. You can share with your classmate, and your classmate will give or will show you his or her writing. So you can discuss with each other, you can comment each other. In order we cannot, it's impossible. Here, that is the end of the first lesson. Okay, welcome back. I hope that you are having a great time. This is our second lesson. And I hope everything is okay with you. For the first lesson, we have seen development of a paragraph, and right now, we are going to start another part of the writing lessons. Here, we have comparing and contrasting paragraphs. Compare and contrasting paragraphs. Before we start our lesson, here we are comparing and contrasting paragraphs. When we are comparing and contrasting two things, two people, two places, or two ideas, you need to compare or contrast the similarities and the difference between the two things, two people, two places, and so on. Here, before we start our lesson, I want you to compare or contrast. Here now we live in Hargeisa, Somaliland. Can you compare public schools and private schools? If I say compare, that means I'm going to talk about the similarities between that two things, two people, or two ideas. Here we have got public schools, and here we have got private schools. That means government schools and privately owned schools, institutions. Can you compare? Maybe just you have 1 minute and you can write about 4 or 5 sentences about these two institutions. Okay, well done. I hope you did it. If we compare these two things, for example, public schools and private schools, both of them are educational institutions. Both of them have got teachers and students. That means public schools have got students, and also private schools have teachers and students also. These are the same. But what's the difference between them? For example, we can say private schools, special people belong to that institutions, while the public schools, government belongs to that schools. On the other hand, we can say public schools belong to all buildings which belong to the government, but private schools, it's run and owned by certain people. Okay, let's come back to our lesson. Here, we are comparing and contrasting two things, two people or two places. Before we get on objectives, these are the aims. If you know the result of something, you will be aware of what you are needed. For example, I said, I want you to do this. At the end of the lesson, at the end of this lesson, I want you. That means I will answer you. I will ask you. Keep in mind. By the end of this lesson, students should be able to describe, compare, and contrast paragraphs. The second aim or second objective which I want you to master is compare and contrast two people, two places, two things, or ideas, and write about it then. For example, sorry. Why these are our aims, these are our objectives. Okay, for example, if you are comparing your country with another country, or if you are comparing Somaliland with Somalia or Somaliland with Ethiopia, you are comparing. That means you just need to tell the similarities between them. There are some words or phrases which you need to know in order to compare two things, two people, and so on. For example, you need to know, for example, if I'm comparing something, I can use an, also, like, both, just as, and so many others. If I am contrasting two things, I need like this, but, however, nevertheless, although, even though, on the other hand, on the contrary, you need to compare this. You need to master these words. For example, and I'm comparing two things. Ahmed and Ali are absent today. Ahmed and Ali are absent today. That means both of them are not in the school today. Also, I like English, also French. That means I love both of them. Like, also, both Ahmed and Ali are present in here, just as. I love English just as like Umar, just as Umar. I love English just as Umar. Here we have got another phrases or words which you need to know, but I am studying English, but he's learning French. He's learning French, I'm learning English. For example, Ahmed, who is my best friend, I'm studying French, but Ahmed is learning French. I need to drink. That means I'm thirsty. I need to drink. However, I have no time. That means you just want to drink something, but you have no time. So you need to use these phrases when you are comparing or contrasting two things or two places, and so on. Let's see. Introduction. In order to compare, that means we started to compare and contrast paragraphs. In order to compare or contrast between two people, you and your friend, two people that you know, in order to compare or contrast, in order to tell the similarities or the difference between the two things you are comparing, two places. For example, some of you are from another region is in Somaliland, so you just need to compare the region that you live, the capital city, which is called Noradin, and the region is that you are from. Maybe you are from Senag, or maybe you are from Seoul, maybe you're from Awdal, and so on. You are going to compare the similarities and the difference between your hometown, your region, and the region that you live right now. In order to compare and contrast between two people, places, things, or ideas, or situations, we have to mention their differences and similarities. You got it, I think. Similarities, I'm sorry, this is similarities here. During, that means when you are comparing or contrasting, you have to mention, you have to tell the similarities and difference in 3 parts of the paragraph. Remember, we said that paragraph comprised of 3 main parts. When you are comparing or contrasting, you can compare in the introduction, or you can compare, and also you can compare in the body paragraphs or body paragraph or supporting sentences, and finally in the conclusion. Introduction. Introduction. In the introduction, you mention the people, places. You mention the people, places, things that you are comparing and contrasting. It can either be comparing or contrasting. If you are comparing, that means you are telling the similarities between them. And if you are contrasting, you are telling the differences. Here, that is the introduction. In the body, what do you need? In the body paragraph or in the body, this is where, that means in the body, in the introduction, this is where you will explain your points. This is the place that you will explain your points, your ideas of comparing or contrasting. Here are 2 ways. There are 2 ways in here, 2 ways. There are 2 ways to arrange the body. That means we have finished it in the introduction, and then we are in the body right now, or supporting sentences. In the supporting sentences, you can organize in 2 ways. They are block method and point by point method. What do I mean? Block method and point by point. Just think. It's not a robot, it's easier. Block method and point by point. Yes, that's fine. Block method, for example, when you start in the introduction, then you move into the body paragraphs, or in the supporting sentences, you are comparing only one, you are writing only one thing. When you finish all the information, you will put full stop, and then you will start the other thing, the other place, or the other person that you are comparing with the previous one. So, block method. For example, here is writing, piece of writing. Sorry. Here is a piece of writing. We can do like this. Here is the introduction, and here is the conclusion. But in the body, we have, if we are using block, here I'm writing one thing. When I finish all the information, I'm going to write full stop, and then I will start the other thing, or the other person, or the other idea, which I am comparing here. This is block organization. Here is only the one thing, and the other thing you are writing in here. For example, if I am comparing Somaliland and Somalia, here I'm going to write Somaliland, and here I'm going to write Somalia. I'm comparing, I'm using block method. On the other hand, if I am using point by point in here, like this is a piece of paper. Here is the introduction. I'm comparing between Somaliland and Somalia. Here, I'm writing here one thing, or 1 point about Somaliland, and then another point, 1 point Somalia, and then here 1 point about Somaliland, and the other point is Somalia. So when I finish one point, I'm going to write the other point. These are point by point organization. I think you got it. Here, you are writing all the information one time, and the other information you are writing here, and here is the conclusion. All right. Let's see this. Here is a sample of example. Block organization, discuss about one person, then discuss about the second person. You are discussing about one person, then when you finish this one, you are going to discuss the second person. One person, another person. You are writing all the information. Here is block organization, block organization. Block organization, you are writing one person, you are writing about one person, and then when you finish all that information, you are writing about the second person or second thing which you are comparing. In the following example, here we have got one example. In the following example, we are comparing and contrasting two teachers, Mr. Ali and Mr. Abdi. They are in our school, Mr. Ali and Mr. Abdi. Perhaps you know them very well. No, it's okay, good. Let's start with, now remember we are using block organization. In here, we are writing all the information about Ali. Mr. Ali, yes, Mr. Ali has a pleasant voice which helps hold the interest of the students. This is about Ali, Mr. Ali. He has a moderate tone and he uses inflection to make his lessons interesting. Teachers are not the same. Some teachers use metaphors, some teachers use body language, some teachers make them crazy or funny in order to make them more engaged. So he uses inflection to make his lessons interesting. Mr. Ali, still we are describing Mr. Ali. Mr. Ali also adds humor to his subject, and he welcomes questions from students. Some people say that, for example, in American culture, they say that we can only learn from our mistakes. For example, if the students make mistakes, tell them. If they have questions, answer them. If they don't understand material, for example, if you say any question and you don't like to answer that question, perhaps they say no questions. But if you ask questions, if you make them to say questions, they will understand more. Here, if they don't understand material, he also, that means still we are talking about Ali, he takes his time and explains slowly. That means if I am not explaining slowly, maybe there will be some mistakes or maybe some interruptions which will not be good for them to understand. He also tries to make sure that his students understand a concept before he moves into something new. That means if they didn't understand the previous lesson, it is impossible to proceed. So this is Mr. Ali. That information is only about Ali. And here we are going to see another teacher. He has got specialized techniques which he uses when he is teaching something. Mr. Abdi is on the other hand. That means it changes. That means they are different. Mr. Abdi, on the other hand, has a booming voice which commands rather than teaches. His lessons are not as interesting as those of Mr. Ali. That means they don't interest as Mr. Ali because he speaks in a boring monotone. That means he uses only one tone, and it's not good. For example, maybe sometimes you can speak up, sometimes you can speak slowly, sometimes you can make them laugh in order to keep engaged. He also hates to be interrupted. That means he doesn't like someone who interrupts. So you must be very patient, you must be very tolerant. He also hates to be interrupted feeling that he must cover everything before any question is asked. He just wants to see that his time is running out. This is one method. We said that there are two methods. What are they? Block organization and point-by-point organization. Now let's see this one. Point by points. Here, point by point, when it comes to point by point, discuss one point at a time. And then in each point, you talk about both people. That means we don't need to finish all the information one time. We need to discuss one point and then another point, another place. Mr. Ali has a pleasing voice. This is the first one. First teacher, Mr. Ali. Mr. Ali has a pleasant voice which helps hold the interest of students. This is Mr. Ali. Before we explain the other characteristics of Mr. Ali, we need to tell Mr. Abdi's characteristics. Here, Mr. Abdi has a booming voice which commands rather than teaches. This is the difference between them. Again, Mr. Ali has a moderate monotone. He uses inflection to make his lectures or lessons interesting. On the other hand, Mr. Abdi's lessons are not as interesting as those Mr. Ali. Why? People are not the same like us. Because he speaks in a boring monotone, boring one tone. That means he speaks only slowly or he speaks very loudly. He cannot keep the students awake because he speaks in a boring monotone. Mr. Ali also adds humor to the subject, whereas here we are comparing the differences. Whereas Mr. Abdi always serious about each lesson. Mr. Ali again welcomes questions from students. That means he's not afraid of the questions. Some people are, they don't like to be asked questions and they say that that's enough, we will talk about later. So he just welcomes every question that comes from students. Mr. Abdi always, Mr. Ali welcomes questions from students who don't understand the material, as compared to Mr. Abdi, who hates to be interrupted. Mr. Ali tries, that means we are going to try. Mr. Ali tries to make sure everyone understands a concept before he moves onto something new. Before he passes to the second lesson, he tries to make sure every student understands or not. On the contrary, that means on the opposite way, Mr. Abdi always feels that he must cover everything before question is asked. This is the body, and right now let's see the conclusion. As we have already seen, the final sentence or sentence summarizes the main idea of the paragraph. Each teacher has a different voice, tone, and attitude. And as a result of that, because of that, their lectures are quite different. This is the conclusion. That means the two teachers are not the same. They have got different teaching methodologies. They have got different behaviors. They have got different teaching styles. So they are different. Their lessons are quite different. So, finally, we came at the end of our lesson. Here, this is your homework. Please make sure to practice this. Write comparing and contrast paragraph about one of the relevant topics. What one is enough for you? It's not compulsory to do all of them, but practice in order to understand, for example, writing and speaking you can just understand, or you can just learn by practicing. So if you write all of them, it's great work. If you write one of them, it's also good. If you write two of them, no problem. There is no punishment, but it's compulsory to do one of them. So I want you to choose which one you love it. That means which one you know more information about them. For example, two of your friends, Ahmed Ali, Umar Abdurrahman, something like this. You can compare and contrast their difference and also their similarities. Second point, or the second task, which maybe you love it, the subject that you like, and the subject that you like the most, and the subject that you like the least. For example, if I asked you a question, what's your favorite subject at school? That means which subject you love very much. You say that maybe mathematics, my best, chemistry, or geography, or English. That means the one which you like the most. And the one which you like the least. I hope every subject is great and you love all of them, but I want you to take as an example. And the last one, we are comparing and contrasting Hargeisa and Berbera. That means two towns in Somaliland, we are comparing Hargeisa with Berbera. If you say to yourself, or if you ask yourself what Berbera is or what Hargeisa is, you are comparing between them. For example, Hargeisa, this is the capital. Berbera, it is a very good place to live, and it is a town in the coastal areas. It has got historic things, while Hargeisa is the capital. Berbera, maybe you can say Berbera has got a board. If you stay in Berbera, you will see more fish, or you will see more people who are diving into the sea. So it's up to you which topic which you can write more about it. It's up to you, just write one of them. The second lesson, or our lesson 2, we have seen, or we have discussed it, comparing and contrasting paragraphs. Okay class, welcome back again. This is gonna be our third lesson in this online learning process. The previous lessons, we have seen structure of a paragraph, and the definition of a paragraph, and types of how to develop a paragraph. And the second lesson was about comparing and contrasting paragraphs. The third lesson in here, we are going to start Unit 12, irony. This is a reading. Irony, if we explain this word, irony. Irony is unexpected. Irony, this is an unexpected results. We plan something, but we don't know if everything will go smoothly or not. So if we plan something and there is some mistakes, maybe you will not get the results that you have planned. This is an irony. Before we start that reading, let us see the vocabulary, pre-teaching vocabulary. Let me say something about vocabulary. Vocabulary is the part and parcel of learning language. If you are learning a language, vocabulary is very essential. Here, some linguists say that vocabulary pre-teaching. That means before we get into our lesson, we just want to see, we want to be more familiar about this vocabulary. Some linguists say that you can communicate communicate nothing without vocabulary. So, we have here a list of vocabulary which have been organized in a chronological order. We will see the meaning of these words. For example, mean, unkind, or cruel. Mean. That is, for example, when you say, I know that word, there is something you have to know. For example, you said, I know this word, mean. That means you have to know its meaning. Second, you have to know its pronunciation, very important. You have to know its usage. For example, if I see this word, I must use it if I know it. But if I cannot use it, I know the meaning, but I cannot use it, it's incomplete information. So mean, let's make one example. Ahmed is a very mean person. Waitress. The second one, waitress. Waitress. Waitress is a woman or a girl. That means a female. Waitress is a woman or a girl who brings food and drinks to your table in a restaurant. That means it's a female waiter. Maybe it is not common in Somaliland. In other countries, it's common. Waitress. Last year, we had a delicious meal in, Mansour Hotel, because a very skilled waitress served it for us. She served it for us. So it was very enjoyable time and meal. Service. Help given to customers. For example, we give service to our people. We teach something. This is a service. For example, if you have a mean waitress and service. Service is help. For example, if someone teach something to others, that means he has service for the people. For example, if you are a driver, you have a service for the population. If you are a bus driver, you help the people. That means you have a service. Chewy. Food that needs to be chewed for some time before it is soft enough to swallow. For example, you take the food into your mouth. Before you swallow it, you have to break down into smaller particles, into smaller particles which can easily be swallowed. You have to use with your teeth. For example, don't swallow that meat, camel's meat. It's very hard. It is chewable, so you have to chew it. Succulent or food this is a food that is juicy. Food that is juicy and tastes good. For example, an orange is a succulent food. Not food, sorry, it's a succulent fruit. Tip. This is money, a small amount of money that you give someone for good service. For example, you said, can you help me? I need some information about the immigration, and then you give some information, you help it, you really gave him or her what he or she needed. So they give you some money. For example, if you are teaching something and then you did very well, maybe you will be given some money. This is your tip. Generous. Generous is someone more than usual or expected. It is more than enough, more than expected. How you were expected. For example, that man was very generous. He helped me very much. He gave me so many things. Vigilance. Paying careful attention so that you will notice any problems or signs of danger immediately. So this is very attentive, very attentive. For example, we say that student is very vigilant. He never goes outside because he is afraid of being punished by teachers. Prosecute, to take someone to court and try to prove them guilt. For example, if the police arrest someone, they don't send to the prison, they don't send them to the jail before he has to be taken to the court. He will be convicted or acquitted of. He will be guilty or he will be innocent. This is prosecute. Here, refuse collector. Refuse collector is a person whose job is to collect rubbish. It's a person whose job is to collect rubbish. That means he works in, for example, some people call this one dustman. Dustman is a person who works only in the dust area. A person whose job is to collect rubbish. For example, in Hargeisa, we need a specialized refuse collector in order to keep the city clean. Here is Bible. This is a specialized book. Maybe you were asking this. Well, I think you are very familiar. The Holy Book of the Christians. So if I say John is not a Muslim, he is Christ, and he has got a Bible. Instead of reading Quran, he reads Bible. That means we have got different doctrine. And clerk. Someone whose job is to serve people in a shop, collect, something like he accounts or he calculates something in a shop. Pretend, this is a verb, also I forgot all the others, this is the verb and this is noun. Pretend to behave in a way because you want someone to believe that something is, yes, for example, as we have seen so many young generations, they pretend as though they are from diaspora and they behave as they behave. So they can say, he is not a diaspora, he was born in here, but he pretends as though he came from America. Shoplift, this is a great man, he shoplift, to steal something from a shop. He's not actually, we can say he cannot take something intentionally, just he comes to steal something from a shop. For example, when you are buying something and you are standing on the counter, he's coming next to you and he takes something. Sorry. Yes. Yeah, sorry. In here, I'm sorry, this is, here we have got, this is just one, here. Here's a pen. Yes, in here we have got steel. I'm sorry, this is not a steel, this is a metal, but it's steel, it's like this. Sorry for the inconvenience. Steal, to steal something from a shop. That means he's coming next to the counter and he takes something from the bucket of the people who are waiting for the service. Unfortunately, this is used for saying something sad or disappointing. For example, you decided to wake up in the morning and go to the mosque for Subah prayer, and then unfortunately you slept because you slept late at night. There is a wisdom says that early to bed and early to rise make the man healthy, wealthy, and wise. All right, dear students, this is the end of our lesson. Here we have got some activity. We are going to practice the vocabulary which we have seen in the previous page. Here, fill the blank space with suitable word from the box below. Here, reviews collector, shoplift, pretends, succulent, tip, waitress, unfortunately. Let's give you 2 minutes to write this. Right. All right then, can we choose now? I hope you did it, all of them. Very good. Here we have got, I'm going to start now. Please check your book. The first one. The police arrested him because he was accused of what? Shoplift. Thank you very much. Well done. Hargeisa local municipality needs skillet. Okay, the police arrested him because he was accused of shop. Sorry for that. He was accused of shoplift. The second question. Hargeisa local municipality needs skillet. Yes, right. Hargeisa local municipality needs skillet reviews collector. Thank you very much. Appreciate. He, as though he's an American. He, as though he is an American. He, succulent, no. Tip, no. Waitress, no. He pretends. That's good. Thank you very much. Pretends. He pretends. He pretends as though he's an American. He's not American actually, but he pretends. Here, no problem. He's here. I wrote in here. Orange is a type of fruit. Orange is right. Orange is succulent fruit. Thank you very much. Some hotels in Hargeisa have professional waitress. Thank you very much. The last two, we played basketball yesterday evening, and then what happened? I broke my leg. There is a sorrow in here. So this is unfortunately I broke my leg. He has been avoided. We have used all of them. I used this one, and also I used this one, I used this one, I used this one, I used this one. The last one is the last one. He has been avoided. A tip for what? Why he was avoided? For his industrious work. That's all for today. Thank you very much for your time. I hope to see you soon again in this platform. Good luck. Thank you very much.